cannot believe this is happening right now. I'm sitting in a meeting room. CD Projekt Red have invited us here. I'm sitting here with Stanislav. I've tried to pronounce his surname numerous times, unsuccessfully. He's very graciously said, please just call me Stanislav.
Yes,
it's an absolute pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for sitting down with me. Tell us about your role at CD Projekt Red.
Well, I work as a writer.
Okay.
So, so I do the dialogues, and together with the rest of the story team, we do the overall design of the story, and then, as it advances phase for phase, we fill it out with text and everything else.
So how long have you been with the team?
5 years.
5 years,
yeah.
Right.
So I worked on The Witcher.
Okay, right.
As
in the original Witcher?
Yes,
one?
the
Right.
base game.
Nice,
the base game, and I'm taking all of that experience into Cyberpunk.
Okay, so how many
which
writers?
I'm really, I'm really hyped about.
Of course,
and I'm
of
really
course.
glad.
So obviously you started with The Witcher 1, Witcher 2 and Witcher 3, it did something. It really touched people in a certain way. It's now held up as this incredible example. Tell me, what do you think was that X factor that really made The Witcher 3 this incredible phenomenon that it is?
Well, I think the main thing about Witcher is that, our observation. So at CD Projekt Red's story is king, sort of, and the main tools we use for, building the games, we give a big focus on narrative immersion. And I think with The Witcher, that was, apart from, the hard work of every single team within the studio, it was the fact that we made a story about, it was a dark fantasy world, very dangerous, but at the bottom and the fundament of it, you had very universal emotions, feelings of love and loss. And I think that's what really touched people, that's what made them believe and want to, be sort of behind Geralt's back and follow him in his story,
I think that's we're all suckers for a good story, and I think you guys told the best story of the generation.
Thank
I
you,
think
man.
that's why it did that, you know what I mean? But that's my view personally.
Yeah.
So obviously with that incredible success behind you, the expectations for the next game from you guys were huge, and obviously it became known it was Cyberpunk 2077. We'd seen a teaser trailer in the past, which was sort of concept, and then we saw the Xbox One trailer first. So let's talk about that. That trailer that we saw there, it seemed very fast-paced, very colourful, very punky almost. I got some almost sort of Sunset Overdrive or Watch Dogs 2 kind of vibes from it. How do you feel about that trailer? Like, what was the general sort of intent behind that trailer? What were you trying to communicate?
What we wanted to communicate to all gamers was that this is our vision of this world, but in broad terms, as in we wanted to show a bird's eye view of how we see the cyberpunk universe, how we're going to make it. And I like the fact that you still remember the teaser trailer, from 2013.
We've all watched it like a billion times.
Yeah. So the way I like to see it is that trailer was, a single dark and bloody shot. So it was, it was a single vignette. And what we did with this trailer now is that we've sort of filled out the whole range, of the images, added the shots, which we want to fill the game with. So we wanted to show that we're not only going for, dark 90s scenes, etc. That you can make a game about the dark future in sunlight as well. And that's the vision we wanted to communicate. And punky is, because it's cyberpunk. So that mood of the original IP pen and paper role-playing game is also very important for us.
It was so interesting because they had that trailer, and then just then we sat through a 1 hour gameplay demonstration, and it felt very different to the trailer that was presented at the E3 conference, because the E3 conference almost made it seem it was punky in the light, but very bright and colourful and happy. And when you watch this gameplay, it is not that. It is a very dark, very mature, very hardcore game. But you're right, there are lots of flashes of colour, but I guess there's a very dark and serious tone to it, and that came through very strongly in that gameplay. So,
Cyberpunk is a story of the dark future in which America lies in pieces. The world is controlled by megacorps on the one hand. Human life for them is cheap. Humans are only meat. while on the other hand, the streets are ruled by organized crime and psycho gangs, and everyone in between these, two polar sort of opposites is preyed upon. And in this game, you follow, you are V, because that's the best definition of who the main character is. It's you, but V sort of tries to carve in, a path in the middle of the spectrum, because for him or her, depending on what you choose, and the mercenaries she's part of, freedom and being in control of who you are is the most important thing.
Tell me, I'm interested to know how much can I control my own destiny in this game? When we saw this gameplay trailer, we definitely had numerous ways to accomplish an objective. You can go the violent approach, you can talk your way through it. Those options became available. But how much can I actually choose an overall direction in this game? Like in terms of the kind of character that I become and my place in society and in the broader story. Is that set, or is that sort of flexible and evolves over time with different possibilities?
As I said, we're going for full immersion when it comes to you feeling that the character you've made is basically your own, and we're giving you lots of freedom about controlling who you become at the beginning of the game, and it also continues throughout on 2 levels. So at the beginning of the game, you can characterize bits of your background, you can change your skin color, you can change your body type, you can change your gender, and throughout the game you modify that as well. You get cyberware. We're putting a lot of effort and focus on the fact that you can customize the character. And well, when it comes to shaping your story, as our paradigm at CD Projekt Red is that your choices, big and small, all matter. And of course, in Cyberpunk, we have every intention of continuing this, and you will be able to make decisions with enormous consequences of where you end up with and how your own story unfolds. So yeah, that's not changing.
I see. That's so excellent. Yeah. So tell me, what was it like working with an established IP, Cyberpunk, pen and paper book, versus, has that been a great experience? Have you felt limited by that? Is there times where you think, I wish we just had our own license, we could have done this? Or have you said, thank God we've got this IP that we're working with, it's been so invaluable?
When we decided to go for Cyberpunk, we lived and breathed The Witcher for such a long time that we got to this point, we started thinking what would be challenging and what would also be fun, because that's what we work with, it's our hearts, and it's still the case, as the studio grows. So we started talking amongst each other, and the biggest enthusiasm was about Cyberpunk, the IP, where many of us are pen and paper role-playing gamers at heart, so it resonated on many levels, and we thought, this is the thing we want to do. And we use it as a road sign for mood, atmosphere, for all aspects, so to speak, of what specific kind of cyberpunk is, the genre. But at the same time, we take a lot of creative freedom with the IP. We're doing major tweaks to certain characters, to bits in the timeline. So yeah, we're not limited by any way.
So it's an inspiration rather than sort of a strict, it must be this. It's not like working with the Warhammer IP, for example, where it's like, it must be this many bolts in the armor. It's like, it's a lot more freeform.
Yeah, it's a lot more freeform, plus, Cyberpunk 2020 was a pen and paper role-playing game, so obviously we're going for something
much further.
Further and much different. So we're taking the creative freedom to sort of choose what we think will convey that we're making a down-to-the-core role-playing game in an open world. What will emphasize it and amplify it in every way, and the rest we change.
Sure, of course. So. Oh God!
Oh, really?
Really? Could we just set up camera work and stuff? Could we have 10 minutes? 10 minutes more? Yes, you're the best. Love you.
It's fun.
CD Projekt Red are the best at everything. Okay, everything.
And this is fun, so I wanted to continue.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you so much. Okay, so the way it feels, the way it plays, I feel like there's a lot of comparisons to something like Deus Ex. That's the closest I can imagine. Have you guys looked at other games for inspiration as you've been on this journey, and if so, which ones have you looked at?
So personally speaking, I love Deus Ex, especially Human Revolution. But I will emphasize that what we're going for is, it's a first-person, down-to-the-core role-playing game in an open world, and many of the things we've gone for, we've decided as, our sort of core decisions which are guiding us. The fact that there's so much liberty in terms of character creation that, you can fully immerse yourself in the character. The fact that the class system is fluid, so you're never bound to being a techie, a solo, or a netrunner. You can freely pick between these skills and form the character you want. And also the fact that we have this interactive dialogue system, which I, as a writer, am super excited about, because we've always wanted to give dialogues which will allow the player to immerse themselves as much as possible. And with our new system, the player is never an observer. He's always in there. Him looking at, I don't know, a flower or at your bracelet or at anything can have a big influence on what the NPC says. And
really?
like you
so
saw,
wait, if in a conversation, if I'm looking at a certain thing, the NPC
can
respond
comment
to
on that.
Really?
Yeah, for example, well, that won't always be
Sure,
the case,
of
of
course,
course,
but
but when
sometimes.
it's, for example, if they're hiding something from you, and you're looking at that specifically because there's a neurochip under that flower, they might get nervous or
really,
yeah,
that's
and
so interesting.
And
wow.
the same goes like what you saw in the playthrough. You know, we're never going for a very seamless experience between gameplay and dialogue that you won't really notice when we're switching the two. So as you saw in the gameplay in the game
really
presentation,
like
when you decided to take the gun out, so that was what we're going for. So summing it up, I think we're going for something really unique here.
I definitely feel what I saw, I've never seen another gameplay quite like it. It moves with such pace as well, like The Witcher is a slow game. Deus Ex is a slow game, but it feels like I've never played a game that's in that setting that moves this fast. It's almost sort of GTA-esque in terms of it feels so relentless, but you've got obviously this. You have to think about what you're doing. You have to think about your decisions. And
absolutely.
Anyway, I agree. It's very distinct. Anyway, next question. So in terms of the first-person shooter combat, it looked fantastic. Clearly you guys were not cutting any corners on that. The weapon design was phenomenal. There was so much imagination. There was legitimately new ideas there that I'll talk about later, but they were great. What sort of inspirations were you looking at in terms of combat design? Have you hired in specific talent to really create this, or did you have this in-house already? Because this is your first-person game.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, we have a lot of talent in the studio which has worked in The Witcher, but from the times of The Witcher we've grown significantly. So an amazing part of this development process now is that we're getting guys from all over the world, and everyone's chipping in with some of their own experience and making it really great. So that's definitely one aspect. But what I like to emphasize is that even although the shooting will be awesome, we want to emphasize that this is a role-playing game seen from the first person, and as such, at the time you will get to kill specific opponents, it will be a lot longer than you would in it will last longer than would in a shooter. So to give an example,
do you mean like time to kill is longer?
Yeah, time to kill
Enemies
is longer.
have more
Exactly,
health.
that's what I meant. In a sense that the way you decide to dispose of your opponents and your plan is almost as important as the execution of the plan itself. So it's going to be up to you whether you're going to go in there guns blazing, or whether you will deploy a virus, or whether you'll set traps together. That's all part of the freedom we're giving the player. As for the gunfighting mechanics themselves, obviously at this point I can give out many details, but I can speak about everything which you've seen, which is already, which you saw in the game presentation. So yeah, I'm quite excited about the fact, we have the amount of weapons you will be able to use. And
there was a lot just in that demo. There was a lot just in that little demo that we saw.
Yeah, because we wanted to showcase that there's three distinct categories of weapons. When it comes to guns and rifles, there's power weapons, which have high damage bullets and have enough force to ricochet, of sides of walls and go
Ricochet
behind
thing
cover.
was particularly
Yeah,
cool.
you saw it.
It was
Yeah.
you can actually like point behind an enemy in cover, see the trajectory of the ricochet, and then shoot, and obviously it works. Like that was just, I just can't wait to do that.
I'm really bad playing shooting games,
Right.
but I really love these weapons. You have tech weapons.
Yep.
Which you can charge, and and the force of the strike is strong enough to pierce through any cover. As you sort of invest into those type of weapons, and you also have smart weapons. You saw them as well. So it's
the bullets track.
Exactly.
Right,
so sometimes you have the bending
bullet curves, right?
bullet
Nice.
curves,
Yeah. So look, it just looked absolutely phenomenal. Are you talking at all about any of the online components that have been alluded to in the past?
What we're focusing on right now is to give you the richest, the best possible single player out of the box experience.
Right.
That's our main focus, and that's what we're working on very hard right now. As for online components, that's so multiplayer and all that. That's all in R&D at the moment.
Okay.
And we'll look at it in a further and say stuff about it further.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's almost good to know that you guys are focusing on an incredible single player experience.
Yeah.
And then, if it's just in R&D, obviously that's not what you're looking at right now. You're just focused on the single player, and that's what people want, obviously, from CD Projekt Red, because that's what you guys absolutely nail. So, look,
Thank you.
it was an amazing demo. I cannot believe it's criminal that you are not making this demo available to the public.
Well, that's your
They're going to
job.
hate you for it. If I had the
Talk
footage,
about
I'd
it.
release it right now, but I can't. I'm not allowed. I can only talk about it. I will. But the sooner that everyone sees it, the better, because it was just astounding, and can't wait to see more of it. So congratulations on all the work, and
Awesome,
really
man.
wish you all
Thank
the
you.
best. Thank you very much. Thank you.